In the Pilot Training Center, Nicole Fisher and Jack Monroe worked with new recruits. After 2 years connected to predecessor technology, they had found a balance between their expanded consciousness and their human identity. Feel the ship as an extension of yourself, Fisher told a young pilot. Don't fight the connection. Let it flow through you. The number of human pilots had grown to over 1,000. Each connected to a predecessor vessel, they formed the core of the Alliance fleet. Confederate crews served alongside them, operating their own ships enhanced with human-compatible interfaces. Monroe looked up as his communication device beeped. The Asterisk Guardian of Dawn Asterisk is ready for its final test, he said. They want us to take command. Fisher nodded. After years of preparation, the moment had arrived. The Alliance's flagship would soon face its ultimate challenge. At the edge of the Arcturus sector, the scout ship Asterisk Swift Messenger Asterisk monitored the approaching darkness. Captain Gabriella Rice watched as stars disappeared one by one, swallowed by the void. Prepare to jump back to Alliance space, she ordered. We've seen enough. As her ship turned, sensors detected something else. A massive object emerging from the void itself. It was unlike anything they had seen before, part organic, part machine, and larger than any known vessel. What is that? Whispered her first officer. The heart of the void, Rise replied. It's not just a force. It has a consciousness. She sent an emergency transmission to Alliance headquarters. Unknown entity detected. Size and power readings off the scale. Request immediate. The transmission cut off as the void surged forward with unexpected speed. At Alliance headquarters, alarms sounded. Shepard and Zivra rushed to the command center as reports flooded in. The Asterisk Swift Messenger Asterisk is lost, reported the communications officer. The void has accelerated. New estimated arrival. 12 hours. Launch the fleet, ordered Shepard. All vessels to defensive positions. Across Alliance space, ships moved into formation. Confederate battleships formed the outer line, their weapons ready. Human-operated predecessor vessels took central positions, their ancient technology humming with power. The Asterisk Guardian of Dawn Asterisk moved to the front of the formation. Larger than any other vessel, it gleamed in the light of nearby stars. Inside, Fisher and Monroe took their positions at the neural interface controls. Are you ready? Fisher asked. Monroe nodded. As ready as anyone can be to face the end of all things. They connected to the ship, their minds expanding to encompass its systems. Through the neural network, they felt the presence of every Alliance pilot, 1,000 minds united in purpose. In the command center, a young tactical officer looked up at her screen. Admiral Shepard, she called out. Long-range sensors detect a massive object approaching our position. Identification. Shepard asked. The officer studied her readings, then looked up with determination in her eyes. Unknown warship approaching, she began. Zivra moved to look at the display, then smiled with sudden understanding. It's human, she said with newfound respect. And it's ready for battle. As the Asterisk Guardian of Dawn Asterisk moved forward to meet humanity's greatest challenge, the Alliance fleet followed. The galaxy's ancient defenders had returned, and the final battle for all life was about to begin. 2 years passed. What began as an accidental war had transformed into the greatest alliance the galaxy had ever known. Humans and aliens, once bitter enemies, now worked side by side against the approaching darkness. The Guardian Alliance headquarters orbited Earth, a massive space station where representatives from over 30 species gathered. At its center stood the command bridge, where Captain Alan Shepard, now Admiral, looked out at the assembled fleet. Status report, he said. All ships in position, replied his tactical officer. The void has consumed 6 more systems since yesterday. Current estimates show it will reach the Arcturus sector in 48 hours. Shepard nodded. Beside him stood Science Director Zivra, now the Confederate ambassador to Earth. Their relationship had evolved from distrust to respect, and finally to friendship. "The first line of defense is ready," said Zivra. "The barrier generators are operating at full capacity." The barrier was new technology, developed by engineer Olivia Winters working with Confederate scientists. It created an energy field that could slow the void's advance, if not stop it completely. "And our special weapon?" asked Shepard. "The Asterisk Guardian of Dawn Asterisk completes its final trials today," replied Zivra. The Asterisk Guardian of Dawn Asterisk represented humanity's greatest achievement. Built around an ancient predecessor vessel, it incorporated technology from all Alliance species. Its neural interface system had been refined by Susan Henderson's team to allow pilots to connect without losing their humanity. Supreme Commander Xalthep stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Half his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The rest were in retreat. The human world, which should have fallen hours ago, was now protected by ships of ancient design and terrible power. "How is this possible?" he demanded. Science Director Zivra stepped forward, her stance showing unusual confidence before the Supreme Commander. "I tried to tell you," she said. "The humans are not our enemies. They are the guardians of legend." "Lies." Xalthep slammed his fist on the control panel. "They are violent, unpredictable creatures." "Yes," agreed Zivra. "And that is exactly why the predecessors chose them." She activated a data pad, displaying ancient text and images. "I found this in our oldest archives. The predecessors needed successors who could adapt, who could think in ways we cannot." Xalthep glared at her. "You have betrayed the Confederacy." "I have saved it," she replied. "Look." She pointed to a new alert flashing on the main screen. At the edge of the galaxy, automated sensors had detected something moving. Something vast and dark that seemed to swallow light itself. "The void," whispered Xalthep, his anger turning to fear. "It's real." On Earth, the sudden appearance of the predecessor vessels had changed everything. Admiral Carter watched from Deephold as Confederate ships retreated from orbit. Captain Shepard and the Defiance Asterisk led the remaining Earth vessels in pursuit. "Get me a secure channel to the lead predecessor ship," Carter ordered. Moments later, Jack Monroe's face appeared on screen, but it was changed. His eyes glowed with inner light, and his voice echoed strangely. "Admiral Carter," he said, "the awakening has begun, but it is only the beginning." "Monroe, are you all right?" Carter asked. "I am. More than I was," he replied. "My mind is connected to the ship, to all ships. I can see so much. Can you disconnect?" "I don't know. I don't think so." A strange smile crossed his face. "But it doesn't matter now. The void is coming. We need to prepare." In the Confederate capital world, emergency meetings of the High Council were taking place. Zivra presented her findings to the assembled leaders. "The attack on Earth was a mistake," she explained, "based on a misunderstanding and Supreme Commander Xalthep's desire for military glory." "This is treason," shouted Xalthep. "This is truth," countered Zivra. She displayed images of the ancient vessels now protecting Earth. The predecessors created the humans to be their successors, to operate their technology when the void returned. And now it has. She showed the Council recordings from deep space probes. Entire star systems at the edge of the galaxy were going dark, consumed by something that defied normal physics. "We have a choice," she concluded. "Continue a pointless war against the very species designed to protect us all, or join with them against the real enemy." The council chamber erupted in arguments. Some councilors called for peace with humans. Others demanded Zivra's execution for treason. Meanwhile, the predecessor vessels began to gather near Earth. More ancient ships arrived each day, responding to the call of the awakened. Captain Shepard's Defiance Asterisk, though damaged, joined with them. In orbit around Earth, Shepard met with a strange delegation. Monroe and Fisher, their eyes glowing with the light of their connected consciousness, joined with Zivra and several Confederate officers who had defected to her cause. The void will reach inhabited systems within months, Monroe explained, his voice now carrying the knowledge of the predecessors. It moves faster than before. Can it be stopped? Asked Shepard. Unknown, replied Fisher. Her voice similarly changed. The predecessors only managed to drive it back, not destroy it. And that was with their full fleet. How many ships do we have? Asked Zivra. Not enough, said Monroe. We need more pilots, more humans willing to connect with the ships. And we need allies, added Fisher. The Confederacy must join us. Shepard looked out the viewport at Earth, still scared from the Confederate attack. After everything they've done, you expect us to ally with them? Yes, said Monroe simply, because the alternative is extinction. For all of us, Earth burned. From his position on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance Captain Alan Shepard could see the flames of cities through breaks in the clouds. The last line of Earth's defense fleet fought with desperate courage against overwhelming odds. Shields at 12%, reported his tactical officer. 2 more of our ships lost. Shepard nodded grimly. Continue firing pattern Delta. Focus on their lead vessels. The Defiance shuddered as enemy fire struck its hull. Around them, the remaining Earth ships formed a tight defensive pattern. But one by one, they were falling. Captain, came a voice over the comm. Admiral Carter is on secure channel. Shepard touched his earpiece. This is Shepard. Ellen, said Carter, her voice calm despite the situation. We just received a transmission from the Shadow. They'd found something big. Deep in the Trillium Nebula, Captain Rivers and his team stared at the holographic display as it explained the situation. The void is not a species, said the hologram. It is a force that consumes all life. 10,000 years ago, it nearly destroyed all civilizations in this galaxy. The Trillium Nebula glowed with strange colors that no human had seen before. Swirls of purple and green energy created a maze of deadly radiation and gravitational traps. No normal ship could navigate this place and survive. But the Shadow was not a normal ship. Captain John Rivers watched as his engineer worked frantically at the controls. How's that drive modification coming, Blackwood? Rivers asked. Chief Engineer Ryan Blackwood wiped sweat from his forehead. For 2 days, he had worked without sleep, modifying the Shadow's engines to handle the nebula's strange physics. Almost there, Captain, he replied. The radiation would cook a standard drive, but I've rewired ours to absorb and channel the energy. It should work. Should. Rivers raised an eyebrow. Best I can offer, Blackwood said with a tired smile. Nobody's ever tried to fly through something like this before. Lieutenant Martinez sat nearby, studying the crystal they had recovered. Psychological Officer Susan Henderson watched her with interest. What have you learned? Henderson asked, sitting down beside Martinez. The symbols are similar to very old human languages, Martinez said. I can make out parts. It talks about the final defense, and those who will awaken, and something about the right mind. Henderson frowned. The right mind. Yes, the predecessors created this technology to respond to specific mental patterns. Martinez looked up. That's why it lit up when I approached. It was scanning my brain. Henderson's eyes widened. That matches what I've been researching. Confederate psychological profiles show they admire stability and order. Humans are different. We adapt under stress, even thrive in chaos. A survival trait. Martinez nodded. Our brains rewire themselves under pressure. The very trait the Confederates see as dangerous, Henderson added. But what if that's exactly what the predecessors were looking for in their successors? Back on Earth, the situation grew more desperate by the hour. Captain Alan Shepard stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance looking at the tactical display showing Confederate ships surrounding Earth. Status of planetary shields, he asked. Failing, sir, replied his tactical officer. 20% power and dropping. Civilian casualties in the billions. Shepard felt sick, but kept his face calm. The crew needed him to be strong. "Our orders are clear," he said. "We hold the line. Buy time for Rivers and his team." The Defiance and the last 12 Earth ships formed a defensive line around the planet. Against them, hundreds of Confederate vessels moved into attack formation. On the Confederate flagship Eternal Glory Supreme Commander Xalthep prepared for the final assault. "All ships in position," reported his first officer. "Begin the attack," ordered Xalthep. "No mercy, no survivors." Deep inside the Trillium Nebula, the Shadow approached a massive structure floating in space. Unlike the ruins on Proxima, this facility appeared intact and operational. Lights flickered along its surface, and huge doors began to open as they approached. "It's responding to our presence," Blackwood said in awe. "Or to the crystal." The Shadow slipped inside, landing in a vast hangar. The team exited cautiously, weapons ready. Martinez carried the crystal, which glowed brighter with each step. They entered a large chamber where a pedestal stood in the center. The crystal in Martinez's hand pulled toward it like a magnet. "I think it wants us to place it there," she said. "Is that safe?" Rivers asked. "Nothing about this mission is safe, Captain," Martinez replied. "But we're out of options." She placed the crystal on the pedestal. Instantly, the room lit up. A holographic display appeared, showing the humanoid figure. "Genetic compatibility confirmed," said a voice in perfect English. Activation sequence initiated. The walls around them became transparent, revealing thousands of ships docked in massive hangars extending for miles in all directions. Ancient vessels, dormant for millennia, began to power up one by one. "What is this place?" whispered Rivers. The hologram answered, "This is the armada of the predecessors, created to fight the void. We have waited 10,000 years for the right inheritors. Those with minds that can adapt. Those who can become one with our vessels." "Become one?" Henderson asked. "The ships require human pilots," the hologram explained. "Minds that can merge with the technology. Only then can the void be defeated." The ancient ruins on Proxima were unlike anything humans or Confederates had seen before. Massive stone structures covered with strange symbols stretched for miles across the planet's surface. Some buildings reached hundreds of feet into the sky. Lieutenant Kelly Martinez walked carefully through a large hall, her flashlight revealing walls covered in symbols. Researcher Pax followed close behind. Their small team of humans and aliens had been exploring the ruins for 3 days. "Look at this," Martinez said, pointing her light at a section of wall. "These symbols match the ones we found in caves on Earth. Some are over 30,000 years old." Pax touched the wall gently. "The same symbols appear in our oldest records, too. The predecessors visited many worlds before they disappeared." Martinez ran her hand over the symbols. "Who were they? And why did they leave these messages?" "We believe they faced some great enemy," said Pax. "Our legends call it the Void, something that consumed entire star systems." As they moved deeper into the ruins, they came to a large circular room. In the center stood a tall pillar covered with more symbols. When Martinez approached, the symbols began to glow with a soft blue light. "It's responding to your presence," Pax said with surprise. "Try touching it." Martinez hesitated, then placed her hand on the pillar. The entire room suddenly lit up. The floor began to glow, revealing a star map of the galaxy. "It's some kind of control center," she whispered. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a small chamber. Inside was a crystal device about the size of a human hand. "What is it?" asked Martinez. Pax looked stunned. "I believe it's a key. A genetic key mentioned in our oldest texts." Before they could examine it further, their communication devices beeped urgently. "Lieutenant," came the voice of Sergeant Joe Peters. "Confederate battleships just jumped into the system. Lots of them. They're not responding to Pax's team's signals." "How many?" Martinez asked. At least 30. They're launching fighters. Martinez grabbed the crystal. We need to go. Now. As they raced back through the ruins, explosions shook the ground. The Confederate reinforcements had begun bombing the planet's surface. They must have tracked us here, Pax said. Supreme Commander Xalthep doesn't want this discovery made public. Back in orbit, their small research vessel faced a terrible situation. Dozens of Confederate warships surrounded the planet. Captain John Rivers of the stealth ship Shadow watched the enemy vessels from his hidden position behind a moon. His ship had escorted the joint research mission, staying cloaked as protection. Sensors show multiple bombardment cruisers, reported his tactical officer. They're trying to destroy the ruins. Rivers made a quick decision. Move us in close to the research vessel's pickup point. We'll grab our people and run. On the main Confederate command ship, Supreme Commander Xalthep received the reports with anger. The traitors have found something, he told his officers. Destroy it all. Then set course for Earth. It's time to end this war. On Earth, Admiral Carter received the emergency transmission from Captain Rivers. We've recovered Lieutenant Martinez and her team, Rivers reported. They found something important, but we're being pursued by the entire Confederate 7th Fleet. We have the coordinates to another predecessor site, possibly their main facility. Sending the data now. Carter looked at the incoming coordinates with concern. That's in an uncharted nebula. How will you get there? The Shadow is fast, but we'll need help, Rivers replied as static began to break up the transmission. They're jamming us. We'll try to. The transmission cut off. Carter stared at the screen in silence. Status of our defense line? She finally asked. Collapsing, ma'am, replied her aide. We've lost the Saturn outpost. Mars resistance is down to 3 cells. Confederate main fleet is less than 2 days from Earth. Carter looked at the star map, showing the shrinking human territory. Then at the mysterious coordinates Rivers had sent. Contact the Defiance she ordered. Tell Captain Shepard we need to change our plans. Our last hope might be in that nebula. On the Confederate command ship Eternal Glory Science Director Zivra stared at the test results on her screen. Her 4-fingered hand trembled slightly as she closed the file and looked up at her small team. The humans have it, she said quietly. The Guardian gene is active in 98% of their population. The 5 aliens in her laboratory exchanged nervous glances. What they were doing was treason against the Confederacy. Are you certain? Asked Medical Officer Kren. Perhaps there is an error. Zivara shook her head. I've run the tests 20 times. There is no mistake. She pulled up an image of ancient cave paintings found on a dead world. These stories of the Guardians aren't myths. The humans are the descendants of the ancient protectors. In another part of the massive ship, a human prisoner sat in a small cell. Political officer Ben Harrison had been captured during the first month of the war. Unlike most human prisoners, he had not been executed. Instead, he had been questioned, studied, and isolated. The door to his cell slid open. A tall Talaxian guard named Velix entered with a food tray. Unlike most Confederates, Velix had shown Harrison small kindnesses over the months. You should eat, said Velix, placing the tray down. Even if the food is terrible. Harrison looked up. Why do you care if I live or die? Velix glanced at the camera in the corner, then pressed something on his wrist device. The red light on the camera turned off. Because Science Director Zivra believes your people may be important, he whispered. And because this war was a mistake. Harrison stared at the alien in shock. A mistake. Your people have killed billions of us. Not all of us wanted this war, said Velix. Some of us have questions, like why Supreme Commander Xalthep ordered your planet destroyed without following proper protocols. What kind of questions? Velix looked nervously at the door. There are ancient legends about a species called the Guardians. They were said to protect the galaxy from something terrible long ago. Zivra has found evidence that humans might be their descendants. Back on Earth, Deep in Deephold, Chief Science Officer Patricia Daniels was working with something no one would have believed possible before the war: 3 Confederate defectors. The aliens had arrived a month ago in a stolen scout ship, claiming they wanted to help. After weeks of interrogation, Admiral Carter had cautiously allowed them to work with Daniels. "The power coupling must connect here," said Trell, the tallest of the aliens, pointing to a diagram. "Then your weapons can penetrate our standard shields." Daniels nodded and made the adjustment to the prototype weapon. "Why are you helping us?" she asked for perhaps the 100th time, still not fully trusting them. The alien hesitated. "Because we have found something in your genetic code. Something that matches ancient records. If we are right, destroying humans would be a terrible mistake." On Jupiter's moon Europa, something unprecedented was happening. A small Confederate science vessel had landed near the human research base. Neither side was firing weapons. Lieutenant Kelly Martinez approached the landing site with her hands empty, heart pounding. Behind her, a small team of human scientists waited nervously. Ahead, the alien ship's door was opening. A slender alien emerged, also empty-handed. "I am Researcher Pax," said the alien in careful, practiced English. "We come in peace." "I'm Lieutenant Martinez," she replied. "Why are you here?" "To propose a joint mission," said Pax. "There are ruins on a planet in the Proxima system. Ancient ruins with symbols that match some found in your human historical records." Martinez frowned. "Why would we trust you? We've been at war for 6 months." "Because if what we suspect is true, this war should never have happened," said Pax. "And because there is something coming. Something worse than this war. Something only humans may be able to stop." Far away, at the edge of the solar system, an ancient detector, dormant for millennia, began to slowly power up. Its sensors pointed toward the darkness between stars, monitoring a threat that was beginning to move once more. 6 months had passed since the disastrous first contact. Earth was burning. The Mars colony lay in ruins. Billions were dead. The few who survived fought from the shadows against an enemy that controlled the skies. Major Frank Collins wiped dust from his face as he peered through broken windows at the Martian landscape. Once it had been home to a thriving domed city of 30,000. Now only ruins remained. "Any movement?" asked Sergeant Ellen Price, crouching beside him. Collins shook his head. "Nothing yet. But they'll be back. They always come back." His small team of 20 fighters represented the last organized resistance on Mars. Their weapons were a mix of standard military gear and things they had created from spare parts. Against Confederate technology, they seemed like toys. "We should move before nightfall," said Collins. "The patrol patterns suggest they'll sweep this sector in 2 hours." As the resistance fighters gathered their few belongings, Collins pulled out a battered tablet. The screen flickered to life, showing a secure channel to Earth's underwater base, Deephold. "This is Mars Resistance Cell 8, he said quietly. "Weekly check-in." The screen stayed dark for 30 seconds before a woman's face appeared. Admiral Diane Carter looked like she hadn't slept in days. Deep lines marked her face, and her once neat uniform was wrinkled. "Report, Major," she said. "We hit their supply depot yesterday. Took out 2 of their crawler tanks. Lost Jackson and Rivera." Collins paused. "Food is running low. Ammunition lower." Carter nodded. "Same story everywhere, but we might have something. Get your team to Extraction Point Delta in 3 days." "Ma'am, Engineer Winters has found something. A weakness in their shields. We're gathering everyone for one last strike." Back on Earth, in the underwater base hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Carter ended the transmission and turned to the woman standing beside her. Olivia Winters didn't look like someone who might save humanity. Her clothes were stained with oil, her hair hastily tied back, and dark circles shadowed her eyes. But for the past 3 months, she had worked without stopping, studying the damaged Confederate fighter they had captured. "Show me again," said Carter. Winters nodded and activated a holographic display. Their shields operate on a frequency cycle. It's why our weapons sometimes work and sometimes don't. I've identified the pattern. There's a 3-second window when they shift harmonics. And we can exploit this. Yes, but we'll need to get close. Very close. Winters pointed to another display showing Earth's last battleship. The U.S. Defiance is our only ship with enough firepower, but it will be a one-way trip. Carter studied the ship's schematics. The Defiance had been hidden in an underwater hangar since the first week of the war. Captain Alan Shepard and his crew had been waiting for the order that would almost certainly mean their deaths. "Call them in," said Carter, every surviving military leader. "We need to plan this carefully." 2 days later, 30 men and women gathered in Deepol's command center. They represented what remained of Earth's military leadership. Some had traveled for weeks through enemy territory to reach the meeting. Captain Shepard stood tall despite his exhaustion. "The Defiance is ready, Admiral. My crew understands what you're asking." "I won't order anyone on this mission," said Carter, looking around the room. "It's volunteer only." "With respect, Mom," said Shepard, "we all volunteered the day we put on the uniform." In the back of the room, Communications Officer Sam Wilkins raised his hand. "Message from the Luna base. Admiral, they're under heavy attack. Not expected to hold out more than 12 hours. Carter closed her eyes briefly. Another outpost about to fall. Another group of brave people about to die. "Then we move now," she said. "Operation Thunderstrike begins in 6 hours. May God have mercy on us all, because the Confederacy certainly won't." As the meeting broke up, Shepard approached Engineer Winters. "Will it work?" he asked quietly. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting both fear and determination. "It has to. We have nothing else." The stars twinkled peacefully in the black void of space. For centuries, the Galactic Confederacy had maintained order across thousands of solar systems. Their massive ships traveled between worlds, bringing species together in harmony. They had a system for everything, especially for meeting new civilizations. Today was supposed to be routine for the Confederate exploration vessel Harmony of Stars *. Captain Zexlor stood tall on the bridge, his 4 arms positioned formally behind his back as his vessel approached the blue-green planet. "Preliminary scans show extensive artificial structures and energy signatures," said First Officer Trell. "Definitely an industrialized species." "Follow first contact protocol," ordered Zexlor. "Send greeting signals on all frequencies and prepare the welcome message." Unknown to the aliens, humans had developed in isolation. Earth had never been visited, and people had only their own violent history to guide them. They had built their defenses expecting the worst from the stars. Inside Earth Defense Station Alpha, alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed across the command center as operators rushed to their stations. "Unknown vessel detected approaching Earth orbit," called out Lieutenant Grant Miller, his fingers flying across the control panel. "Sizes, massive. Nothing like we've ever seen." Captain Lisa Kennedy strode quickly to the main display. Her face remained calm, but her eyes narrowed as she studied the readings. 15 years in Earth Defense Force had prepared her for this day. "Try all communication channels," she ordered, "and alert the Secretary General immediately." Miller nodded and sent the signals. The room fell silent as they waited for a response. "Captain," Miller said after a minute, "they're scanning us." Intense energy readings focused on our defense grid and power plants. Kennedy frowned. In military training, such scans often preceded an attack. "Raise shields. Move defense satellites into position." On the Harmony of Stars Zexlor watched with interest as his science team gathered data. "Fascinating technology," said Science Officer Vray. "Primitive compared to ours, but impressively advanced for an isolated species." "Any response to our greetings?" asked Zexlor. "None that match our translation matrix," replied Communications Officer Pell, "but they are transmitting something." "Continue scans," ordered Zexlor. We need to understand their technological level before proceeding. Back on Earth, tension grew in the command center. Their scans are penetrating our facilities, reported Miller. They're looking at everything. Power plants, military bases, population centers. Kennedy felt a chill run down her spine. The unknown ship was gathering military intelligence. All her training pointed to one conclusion. Send a warning shot, she ordered. Target a point 5 kilometers from their position. Show them we can defend ourselves. Captain, are you sure? Do it, Lieutenant. Now. Miller hesitated only for a second before entering the commands. One of Earth's orbital defense platforms pivoted smoothly and fired a pulse of energy that flashed past the alien vessel. Aboard the Harmony of Stars *, alarms screamed as the energy beam passed nearby. Weapon discharge, shouted Tactical Officer Dren. They fired on us. Impossible, said Zexlor, his skin paling to a light blue. No species has ever responded to first contact with aggression. Confirmed weapons lock on our vessel, reported Dren. Their defense grid is activating. Zexlor hesitated only briefly. Send emergency signal to Confederate fleet. We've encountered hostiles. Space rippled as 5 more Confederate ships suddenly appeared in Earth's orbit, responding to the distress call. In Earth's command center, Miller's eyes widened with fear. Captain, multiple new contacts just appeared. They're huge. Kennedy stared at the screen as more alien ships materialized around her planet. What had begun as a misunderstanding was quickly becoming humanity's worst nightmare. Sound general alarm, she said quietly, and may God help us all. Across Earth, sirens began to wail as humanity faced its first contact with alien life and prepared for war.